On top of everything else, he's got chewing gum on the bottom of his shoe. It just isn't his life. But, Henry, I want you to explain kind of the psychology of this list of film clips that you recommended that we see again.
Well, part of the thinking was that I'm too old to do most things, as you know. And I enjoy watching kids like you have fun.
Sure.
And that's why I wanted to see this group of stuff to find out what a guy my age could do if he had the talent, which is you.
That's a nice way. You and I are the same age, you know. Thanks a lot. Now, let's look at the film clips that Henry has selected. They are all scenes of me enjoying myself. Roll the film, please. Will you, Harvey?
Blondie, will you whisper your secret to me, please? The panel would like to know what it is.
Try to put him to sleep.
Put him to sleep?
We'll try to put him to sleep.
You look nervous.
Linda.
Bye, Gary.
Linda, don't be so nervous, dear. Suppose you hit his...
All right, I'll get back there. He's in ground here.
Someone's dying to know what it is.
I shouldn't laugh. I saw him. They're working so hard.
I must have been out of my mind. You wouldn't get me to do that today. Now, Bess, before we show the film clips that you have asked to see, I just want to point out to the audience that Bess is quite an accomplished musician, and these scenes are not necessarily a complete reflection of her musical and cultural tastes, right?
Well, you know, we've had some pretty great music on our show. Remember the little boy, the 9-year-old from Philadelphia, who conducted the orchestra, his own symphony? And then we've had Spike Jones and the grandmothers in that marvelous Dixieland.
The swinging mother? Yeah.
Dixieland band. You know what was not to be believed? Gene Shepard and the kind of music. As a matter of fact, yes.
Yeah, that's
you
exactly
have
right.
to believe it.
Yeah, it might be very painful to try to describe the way that Gene Shepard makes music, so let's look at the film, please, if you will, George.
Here is Norman Paris and his quartet featuring Gene Shepard on head, playing the Sheik of Araby.
Bill, you were complaining about hula hoops. Can you imagine making a living doing that, putting lumps on the top of your head week after week?
How he does it, nice, don't he?
Well, now, Bess, you said that these film clips had to be seen in order to be believed. Well, I just want you to know that I have looked at this next film clip, and I still don't believe it. Do you remember a fellow by the name of Simon Argevitch? Simon Argevitch? He's the only man in the world who can smoke 6 cigars and whistle at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, Franklin, will you roll the film, please?
Oh, he appears at smokers. That's funny. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he will now smoke 6 cigars and at the same time whistle, smoke it in your eyes. Norman Paris, may we have an arpeggio, please? Again, we couldn't quite hear that one.
Gotta rest a little bit. You know, this takes tremendous lung power.
Now, Bill Cullen, you have chosen yourself a very interesting category here, I think. I'm not so sure I like to relive the scenes that you have selected. Would you tell about the ones you've selected?
Well, like Gary, our inner tube incident, I like things that just don't go according to plan. And I remember particularly the time in our old theater when you built the swimming pool in the orchestra pit.
Oh, yeah, that was the night we had the little girl on our show. Her name was, she was 19 months old, and her name was Teri Reiner. And the secret was that she had been swimming like a fish from the time that she was a little over a year old. So we spent a small fortune building a swimming pool for her to demonstrate her unusual talent. In rehearsal, we couldn't keep her out of the water. But on the air, she had other ideas. All right, let's roll the film, huh?
Well, I said earlier that we would have proof of Terry's secret. So, Mrs. Reiner, we've got Terry already. She had a bathing suit on under her dress. All we then need is the swimming pool, and we just happen to have one with us tonight. Now, this pool is shaped a little differently from the regular pools, since we had to cram it down into our orchestra pit. There we go. Hey, Terry, want to go see Daddy? Want to go see Daddy? Come on. Terry, come here. Dad, you want the money?
Come get the money.
You want the money?
Come on, get the money. Right here, now. Come on. Come get the money. Come on. Come on. Come on. Well, come on. Come on. All right. Come on. Here.
She never did get into the water, and so I dove in instead. So,
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
You know, Gary, I remember that was a mild incident compared to the night we had the older people on the show. Remember that one?
that was the night that we paid tribute to our senior citizens, and on paper it was a beautiful and heartwarming show. Our first contestant was a 93-year-old woman, and her secret was that she was in New York on her honeymoon. When the game was over, I introduced the bridegroom to the audience in order to present them with what we thought would be a wonderful surprise for them. And here's what happened. Film, will you roll the Frank? Now, in talking, Mr. and Mrs. Goodrich live in a home for older people, and we have spies all over, Mr. Goodrich. And we talked to the director of your home, and we found out that there is a shortage of rocking chairs in the home. Is that right?
It is so.
As I understand it, after dinner, everybody, as we were told by the director, after dinner, everybody rushes for the rocking chairs, and there aren't enough to go around.
We have a couple in our room, though. Oh,
You do? Open the curtains, please. Mrs. Goodrich, Mr. Goodrich, if you would like to have the chairs, we would love to send them to you. If, on the other hand, as you say, you already have two, then we will send you something else. All right? Of your choice.
We have two good rocking chairs.
Good luck. We will have shipped direct to your home 2 straight chairs. And as they left the theater, I can remember hearing these 2 newlyweds in a heated argument. The wife was saying, but I want those rocking chairs. And he said, we don't need them. We got them already. So we finally ended up by sending them the rocking chairs and a radio and a lamp and some other stuff that we found out they really did need. Now, the very next thing on that show was a 78-year-old man who came on to challenge Henry Morgan to a test of strength. You remember that, don't you, Henry?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what Henry didn't know at the time was that the 78-year-old man was an expert. And he knew the trick of hitting the gong every single time. So we rigged a device to make it twice as difficult for anyone else to ring the bell. We wanted to make Henry look bad, you see. Now, watch the way this turned out. Will you film the roll, please, Frank? I'll try it after you if you want. So we... All right.
Don't miss it, Henry.
Thanks, man. Why did you get hammers with you?
Why should America know about this?
Bye, Steve.
Last week, Betsy didn't go to Hollywood. The two old folks already had rocking chairs. Henry hits the bell.
First, I should have quit right there because when Henry hit the bell, it unnerved our contestant so that it took him 6 tries before he could ring the bell, and we didn't have that much time to spare, so we went off in chaos. But now I want to get to this last piece of film. Again, Jack Mosley blowing up that inner tube. As I said, nothing else happened on that entire show but what you have been seeing. Jack puffing away on his inner tube. Our special guest that night, if you'll recall, was Andy Griffith, and he never got to do his spot at all. He finally just wandered out on stage, sat down next to me, and we watched together. Now, here's the payoff exactly 1 minute before we went off the air. May we see the film, please, Rodrigo?
I must say this. When he sets out to do something, he sets out to do it, doesn't he?
He does. Told me he was going to do it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, too. Was that where it was? Oklahoma City or somewhere.
I don't know, but when it goes, I want to...
Those are some of the highlights of the glorious 9 years that our audience has afforded us. And, of course, we must have a little birthday cake. Panel, will you join me up here, please? Of course, our studio audiences have been most helpful to us throughout this 9 years. And I think there's enough here to go around for all of us. So, as we say goodnight, we'll light the candles. Hank and Bill, you want to light the candles? We'll have a go at blowing them out. And then we'll invite everybody in the studio audience to come on up and have a share of our birthday cake with us. We'll see you folks in just a short while. Why don't you go ahead and do all of the closing credits, Fidel, and... Oh, no! Look who's here! How are you? Good to see you. No! You fooled me completely. All right, Phillies, take the credits. We'll be back. Oh, you blow them out. All right. Watch the wire.
Miss Myers is down by Nino. Bristol Myers also brings you Candid Camera. Social local listings for time and day. I've Got a Secret has been brought to you by Bristol Myers, makers of Bufflin for relief from headache pain, and by Miss Clairol, hair color so natural, only your hairdresser knows for sure. This is John Cannon speaking.